Hello. Welcome back to Small Talk Sunday. This is another episode. This is episode 8 today? Man, time's kind of flying by really quick. But this is a show about trying to understand the odd world that we live in and the daily battles that we face. This is William Parks, joined by Joshua Brandon, Jack Hampton, and Jared Jasper. Welcome back, guys. As always, good to be back.
What's good, fellas?
Oh, man.
What it do?
Man, dude. Well, so we've got a cool episode for everybody today. A little bit different kind of topics that we usually don't necessarily always talk about because we always kind of focus everything around, we don't always focus around relationships. We have a lot recently. So today kind of picked a couple off topics, such as, how do you become a man of commitment rather than a man of convenience, or someone who's just conveniently in a place at a certain time rather than someone who's actually die hard going for something. And if you were to go back in 10 years and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be? What would you tell yourself? So, boys,
we got some great topics coming up today. Some great topics we're going to talk about. So,
we're going to get
I can't
dicey
wait
on
to
here.
hear some answers, especially the 10 years one. That's going to be lit.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get dicey. So, guys, I guess we'll hop, we'll hop straight on into it because I know I brought this first topic. So, if you were to become a man, or how can you become a man of commitment rather than a man of convenience? And essentially saying, as people, we have a hard time committing to things sometimes, especially if there's risk involved or it takes a lot of our time out of the day. How do you become a man that's actually going to commit to something rather than somebody who's just there because it's convenient? And when the going gets tough, you just up and leave. So do you guys, I guess we'll just kind of hop right into that kind of discussion there, because I know we can talk about this one for a minute.
yeah, dude. I believe it's just a matter of your character, right? So if you tell somebody that you're going to do something, then you need to be there and committing to it. So in a sense that if I sit there and I tell you that, hey, Will, you need me to come over tonight to record something, or Will, you need me to be there when you have a bad time, that I need to be there. And if I don't have the time for that, then I need to be straight up and honest with you and tell you that I don't have the time for it. I don't need to commit to something and then say, I don't really have the time for it anymore. I can't be there. And now you're sitting there left high and dry, completely confused as to why I'm not there when I told you I was going to be there. I think a lot of people try to take their own feelings into account for it. And they start to think like, I can tell them one thing, and then if it gets too hard for me, then I'm just going to dip out. And it blows my mind though when people start to think like that.
It's absolutely right. Because are you in it for you to serve yourself? Or are you in it to make sure that in it for her or your partner, whoever it is, and for the relationship itself? It has all to do with character. Are you going to be selfish in that relationship? Because it's just like anything else in life. You get out what you put into it. And if you're not putting in any effort, or you're looking for something in return, some type of transactional relationship, then it's never going to work.
At what point does it stop becoming like commitment and you're just kind of a yes man? It's like, what point can you cut it off to be like, yeah, I'm committed, but I need to take a step back, or no, I can't do that. When what's the line where you just become a yes man and you're just, you can't say no to anything?
I feel like there's so that's first off, that's a great question, because honestly, Jared, I feel like a lot of people kind of run at that, and I mean, I know that I do too sometimes. Whenever you're able to take into account what it is someone's asking you to do or what you're kind of tasked with, I know for me, like, you have to know yourself and know if you genuinely don't want to do it, that's okay. You're not going to want to do everything, but why are you doing it? Is it because you're doing it because you feel like it's just like a burden for someone else, and you want to lift that weight off them and help them out, and that's just where you want to be? Or are you doing it but like, do you not have the time to do it and you're still saying yes? That's an issue, right? If you're going to start overcommitting to things, and then because that in itself starts to induce stress. It's hard to sit there and say, hey, yeah, I can come and do this, knowing that I have 8 hours of work on the back burner that I haven't even started yet, and it's due tomorrow morning, right? Like, you have to still prioritize other things first. And those priorities kind of go in order of just whatever they may be.
Yeah,
There's an art to saying no too. Like you
Yeah.
have to say no. You can't overflow your plate. Go ahead, JB. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, you're good. And so like when you have those moments where you can't commit anymore, like you were saying, Jared, like when you get to the point where you can't commit to anymore and you have to back away or step away. I mean, I think it's just having a conversation about it. So you may not always be available for that person or available for that thing that you committed to. So you may have committed to do something once a week and then all of a sudden maybe it's getting overburdened to you. But have that conversation and talk about it and say, hey, I know I committed to this, but now I want to give you a heads up before, just like a day before, you're just going to say, I can't do it anymore. Now you're giving them a heads up saying, hey, I'm going to step away from this now because it's taking a lot off my plate. So I think when you go about it the right way, that there are ways that you can back away from that commitment as long as you're giving somebody else the justification for it. But I also think it goes deeper than that, because right now we're speaking about commitment just to somebody else. But what do you do when it's commitment towards yourself? How many times have you had commitment towards yourself where you tell somebody, or you tell yourself that, or let's say you go to a job, right? And you go to the job, you do the job, and you're expected to get paid for it. And when somebody doesn't pay you for it, you get upset. But how many times have you given yourself that same ultimatum that I didn't go to the gym, or I didn't wake up, or I didn't do my job today? Why am I not upset at myself now? And that's where the convenience comes in that you were speaking about, Will. Now it's convenient for you not to go. It's convenient for you to stay in that bed just a little bit longer. And now you feel that you're more comfortable. And I think it's a whole comfortability factor, in my opinion.
I think you're always gonna have to fight that. I think you're always gonna have to fight being, convenient and complacent with where you're at now. I was watching a video of Matthew McConaughey talking about or giving a speech with an award, and he was talking about, he got asked who his hero was, and he said his hero was him in 10 years. And when he gets there, he said he'll never reach it, but it's always 10 years ahead. He's looking ahead. So, I mean, being complacent of where you're at is always gonna be a downfall for you.
And commitment also ties in heavily to discipline as well. Whenever you're committed to something, you're already disciplined. They go hand in hand a little bit. I think you guys are making great points. Honestly, I don't know what else I could really add to that as far as that goes, except for how do you really define, how do you find that something here? I'm trying to think of this question as I'm sitting here. What is how do you define like a good commitment versus a bad commitment? How do you find, like in life, whenever someone's asking you to do something, or like there's something you're going to commit to, that it's going to be something that'll end up benefiting you or being a detriment to you? Because I know there have been situations where I've been asked to go and do things that certainly won't better me, or they won't put me in any better of a situation. I won't really grow from it. It'll just be kind of like a standstill kind of deal. Do you feel like it's still a good thing to commit to those smaller things?
I think it depends on the end action that's going to come out of it, in my opinion.
Exactly what I was going to say. It can be as simple as, how do you feel afterwards? Because there's things I dread, like going to the gym, but after I get in the gym, I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. But there's also things I dread leading up to it, and then after I do that commitment, I'm like, I really shouldn't have did that. I hate that's a simple answer, but that's mine.
I mean, I think it's the best way that you can answer it, though, because there are times where you may be committed to things and you don't want to do it, but it could overall, we spoke about this last week, how the things that you do in your life, that although they may be sometimes a burden on you, that they are better for the greater good for somebody. So I don't mean the greater good saying that if it's a detriment to you and then now you're down bad and you feel terrible, but it helps somebody else out, then you are okay. I think as long as maybe you had a little bit of pain or a little bit of stress put on yourself, but you were able to handle it. But in the end, it also benefited somebody else. So even though that commitment may not be what you wanted it to be, it still benefited somebody else. Or if it does benefit you, I still think that it's worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you help somebody else, I mean, depending on what the situation entails, even if it comes at a sacrifice to you, that might even be more beneficial to you than if you gain something from it. So.
I mean, honestly, that's a great way to look at it, because there are things that you do that you don't feel like doing, that you don't even know are helping you. And like you just go through the motions. You're like, I'm just going to do it because I made the commitment. But in the long run, you see that down the road, you're like, wow, that really shaped me to be somebody different. Like you said, well, it kind of shaped you to have discipline, right? Yeah. And find yourself growing in that aspect as well, even though you didn't want to do it in the first place.
So my next question that I have, and we were kind of talking about this off air a little bit, because this leads perfectly into it. Whenever we talk about committing to things, how do you keep yourself from overcommitting? Because I know like I've definitely hit several points in my life where I reach a burnout stage where it's like I now know that I have officially overcommitted to a lot of different things, and your brain just starts to shut down, right? So what are some things that you guys do to kind of avoid getting to that stage? Do you guys have like certain things or patterns you see happening in your life where you're like, I'm approaching that point? Or do you just kind of play even kill and you don't really worry about it that much?
Mine's if I don't wake up happy and motivated to go into that day, because editing is something at the beginning of this process of going into social media I loved. I couldn't wait to do. I'm at the point now where I dread it whenever I wake up in the morning. So what I've done to not get burnt out on it is I take more breaks throughout the day, and I say yes to less things. If I have a friend that wants to go out to dinner or something on a weeknight, I may say no to that and say, look, let's reschedule for this weekend. I try to find times where I'm not stressed about getting tasks and other things done. I think
Right.
taking breaks is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also important when you break it up into time intervals. It's something that I like to do. So breaking my day up into time intervals based on commitment. So how much can I give to you before it's starting to hurt me or it's starting to weigh me down, in a sense. So I think when you start breaking it up like that, so maybe your time with God is something that you really want to hone in on. So you set that hour where nothing's going to break that. But because of that hour, now you have to cut back on maybe we were supposed to go talk, or maybe we were supposed to go play basketball that day. Maybe I got to cut back a little bit on that time we are supposed to play basketball to ensure that I get that time. I'm still meeting some of my commitments, but I'm cutting back on that time in order to make sure that my body and my mental state is still where it needs to be. So I think time interval is the best thing for me, because I think that's in college, trying to manage everything that we're doing, classes, hanging out,
It's
all
quite a
the stuff
lot.
we're doing. Yeah, it's a lot of people don't realize that, but I think time intervals were like the best thing. I would have my day planned out, wake up at 8, and then from 8 to like 9, maybe like watch a sermon on Sunday. And then after that, 9 to 10, I would study. 10 o'clock, go to the gym. And then I come back and I'm setting it up day by day. And it doesn't matter if you're not meeting those by minute. If you're off by a little bit, that's okay. But as long as you have those structured time intervals that you're going along, it starts to build a little bit of a schedule that you're more refined to.
Yeah,
I think
man.
downtime off of that's very important. Like you said, time intervals, giving yourself breaks.
Yeah.
Also enjoying the small things. Just don't stress yourself out too much over the small things, and enjoy them. Enjoy your small breaks when you wake up in the morning, when you take a break at work, when you walk or school or however it may be. Enjoying the small things in life is really what's going to bring you joy.
I
Dude,
think
that's awesome.
setting aside like one day a week where like you're not at the computer, or just like all day you're just completely unplugged for that day, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, whichever is easiest. And it's something I've been doing every night that's really helped. Is I write down 5 things I'm grateful for, 5 things I did good that day, and then 5 things I can do better. And
Yeah.
that just every night's kind of a
That's really good.
reset for me. And it gives me a sense of perspective. Look, this happened today. It can be the littlest thing, but if you write it down, it goes to your memory, and gratitude, there's nothing better than that. And also you feel like you're always looking ahead, because look, I'm writing down 5 things I can do better too. And that really gives you a sense of perspective.
I like that a
Dude,
lot. I like that.
I'm
You said the time interval. Sorry, JB, give me 1 second. You were talking about time
you're good.
intervals.
You're good,
Dude,
bro.
I time block the crap out of my day, man. That's y'all, you can't read this, but this is every day during the week. I have my
Yeah,
time, and I
bro.
have that one day set out where there's nothing going on, like Jack was saying. And
Yeah.
this
Me
is like,
too.
granted, I don't. Yeah, dude, so we've already got it. It really does help. But all right, JB, go ahead.
Yeah. So I like what you and what Jack and Jared said about the gratitude thing. Something that I heard that I think stuck with me is that how you said, Jack, it does brighten up your day at the end of the day when you do write down those things about gratitude. And the saying was that gratitude and sorrow can't have the same address. So you can't have gratitude for something in your life and also feel sad about the things going on in your life at the exact same time. It can't happen. And I think it hit me. I don't know if you guys have seen, there was this person that was on American Idol recently. um, like a Hawaiian guy singing, and on there he kind of like contributes the song to his dad. And when I started like listening to the song that he was singing, you can tell how much emotion he had in it. And as I was listening to it, I was like, there, you never really know how much time you have with the people on this earth that you love. And so when I started thinking about that, I was like, I text my mom, my dad immediately. I was like, I love you guys very much, because it was like you don't know how much time you had, and you don't know how many times you could tell that person you love. So it was like the gratitude that came over me to know
Yeah.
how fortunate I am to even have my parents at this
Right.
time moment. So I think, yeah, having gratitude and being thankful for the small things in your life that you take for granted every single day can definitely flip around your mindset and your mind completely.
That's
Yeah, man.
beautiful.
I appreciate the tips, guys. I know I definitely do some of the time blocking stuff and having the gratitude. There's a lot of and I want to say this right now because a lot of guys think it's very feminine or whatever to write down those kinds of things every day and have, like, I guess you could call it like a running journal or running list of stuff. Like, it's not. It's a very helpful tool. Like,
Yeah.
it can really keep you on track. And if that's something you got to do it. And if it helps you, do it, because again, it's not you versus anybody else. It's just you versus you. And if this is what you got to do to get through your storm, that's what you got to do, man. There's nothing wrong with that. And,
Yeah.
I definitely am reaching like a point where I've kind of almost hit burnout basically. And I really, I kind of have hit burnout. And so I'm in a state right now where I'm gonna start implementing some of these things you guys are talking about. And I know that one of mine is definitely gonna be cutting back on time that I'm spending on certain things that I can kind of reprioritize. Right. So I appreciate the tips, guys.
Yeah. Okay. For sure.
How do y'all prioritize things, tasks, people, work? How do y'all list those as priorities in y'all's lives? How do you go about doing that?
I feel like the top tier of it is, JB was talking about this with this time with the Lord earlier. It's certain, there's like a short list of things where no matter what's going on, I'm doing it at this time, at that day. And my things for me is the gym, the time with God, and then also like meditation, which is for me just going on a walk, listening to a good podcast or whatever. But those are like three things where no matter what's going on, I have set aside time for that. And from there it goes to like just monetary, like what do I need to do every day to make money? And then it just falls a little bit lower and lower from there.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
I mean, I try to keep mine. Yeah, I try to keep mine as simple as possible. It goes God, family, and friends, and then my goals or my career and what I'm trying to achieve. Just like you said, Jack. So I think, like you said, setting that time aside for God to do what you want to do with Him and have that relationship with Him starts at the top, and then after that, I go to family and friends. So that's me trying to make sure I'm keeping up communication every single day with them, even though sometimes we fall short of doing that.
Yeah.
Trying to keep
I mean,
communication with them and making sure that you're staying in touch and speaking to them, and if they need you, that you're there for that. And then below that, then it goes into having your goals and aspirations. And I'll say sometimes it does get jumbled up. Like, we're not all perfect; we're all human. So sometimes you can misprioritize one thing over the other. There have been many a times where I've misprioritized trying to grow myself on social media, or trying to grow a business or trying to make money versus me spending my actual time with the Lord. And I think, like you said, well, setting those time intervals and cutting back is something that you can do to really reprioritize exactly what you want to do.
I think putting God first is definitely a top priority. I feel like for all of us, I think it's crucial to feed your faith daily, feed your spirit. Spirit eats first. So,
Boy gotta eat. Boy gotta eat.
And it really flows into the rest of your life as well. When you're doing that daily, really just helping you out.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with all these other guys, and how if it's gonna be a dog. But I mean, honestly, like, it's the priorities as far as all of us go. I feel like we all have very similar, if not the same, priority list and rating. But like on a more minute scale of things, like if we're not talking about faith, family, friends, whatever else, like for me, even just like in a day of work, right? Like, this is just breaking it down really, really detailed. For me, I look a lot at importance, or where my attention is warranted most right now, or even just deadline. It kind of just depends on what the task is. I still have time blocking, but think of it as like a hierarchy. Like you have your one big thing you're doing, then you have a bunch of other smaller things you're doing, then another thing that has all these smaller things, and you got to figure out what's got to get done first, right? So obviously there's a time constraint on something that definitely warrants attention. Honestly, we could probably have a whole podcast just on setting up how to prioritize and organize and get everything done you need to get done, just because you can get into so much detail. There's so many different caveats to it. But I agree with all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, just having stuff like that really sets you up for success, though. Like a lot of people ask, like, how do you become successful? How do you get all of these things done in a day? And it's when you start to break it down section by section and not get overwhelmed, and you take it step by step. There's a small goal. There's the small steps are going to lead to your big time goals, and not trying to get overwhelmed with the big time goals. So you're right. We could have an entire podcast speaking about that.
Absolutely. One more thing I do want to mention is decision fatigue. That's something a lot of people wake up, decide what am I going to wear, what am I going to eat for lunch, what am I going to eat for breakfast, and by the time you get to the actual task you have to do, you're tired from making all of these decisions. So like what I've done is like, and you guys do this too, you sit down the night before and really plan out your day. And kind of walk through it the day before, and it's a good time to do it at 6 o'clock or right after you eat dinner, because you're nourished, you're ready to think about the next day. That way, you wake up, you can just put on the clothes that are already laid out, and you just are refreshed to start the day.
Yeah, I'd imagine in about 15 years, my closets can be just all the same clothes, so I don't have to actually make a decision on what I'm wearing.
Oh, seriously,
a white shirt, black pants. No, I'm just kidding. I could never do that. But I do know people that are like that, though.
Oh, boy.
And
I'm not.
Will,
I wouldn't
Will
talk about that, but
working for Men in Black out here shining people with a flashlight.
With my little pin.
For his day job, apparently.
I guess so. You know, we
Wearing
just try and get in, get out as quick as possible. Nobody knows us.
Right.
Oh man, but Jack, that's a really good point, man. That's a really, really good point. You know, as far as the decision fatigue goes, because I know making a lot of decisions definitely can hinder your quote unquote your performance in a sense, and how productive you are. And also another thing I have to recommend as well, if you can find, doesn't have to necessarily be a mentor, but someone else for whatever area you're working in or whatever you're doing. If you're ever feeling that kind of fatigue, or you're feeling like you just have so many questions, you don't know what's going on, find like a go-to person to ask questions for, to ease the burden of that. That way, that's not something that's sitting on your shoulders. You can actually focus more on executing rather than worrying about a decision you have to make.
Yeah. And waking up and not looking at your phone too is absolutely essential. Like I put it on airplane mode, whatever you have to do, because if you wake up and immediately consume negativity or TikTok or Instagram, or just even look at your notifications, it causes stress. And just, I try to put it on airplane mode every morning, and then give it a couple hours to rest.
That's facts, man. That's facts.
Yeah, that's another thing we could have a whole podcast about, is the negativity of social media.
Oh my gosh, dude. Don't even get me started on that one. My goodness. We've barely touched on that. Maybe that needs to be our next podcast. Should just be about how to reframe the mindset of social media and how it all kind of works as to why it pushes all this stuff. Because I mean, I know we talked a little bit about staying focused and do not disturb and the grayscale thing, and how these things are very distracting, but also very good tools. So I think that could be a good episode topic at some point.
For sure.
I love that. For now, let's get into J-Rod.
Yeah. J-Rod.
J-Rod.
So we're going to talk about, if you could go back in time 10 years and talk to yourself, what kind of advice would you give to yourself, and why? I can go first, because I've already thought about it. But
yeah, I'll let you go.
So I started thinking about this, and I was like, I would really want to tell myself that, keep myself from making mistakes, or making poor decisions, or getting myself into difficult times. And I was thinking about this for a while, and then I was like, that's not really how I should think, because every terrible decision that I made, or bad decision I put myself, or bad situation I put myself in, it shaped my character of who I am today. And I wouldn't be, if I took any of those difficult times out, I don't think that I would be as mature in character or think the same way that I do now, and things would just be completely different. I think character is built in the difficult times, and I think your main focus should be learning from those difficult times to build your character. So if you're not learning from those difficult times, then you are just suffering for no reason. So the advice I would give myself is to make sure you're learning the most from your difficult times in your life.
Dang, I don't know how I could possibly follow that one up.
Yeah,
That was
love
incredible.
that.
That was good.
If I had to go back 10 years, talk to younger self, I would probably tell my younger self to relax. All the things that you are worried about right now, all of the things that you're stressing about that you have no clue about how you're going to get it done in the future, what your life's going to look like. I would just say to relax that, like we spoke about, everything is temporary on this earth. So, regardless of what you're going through at this moment, like you said, Jared, all of those things build character, everything that you're going through. So, have faith in God that He's going to have you and that He's walking through you, whatever tough time that you're going through right now, or whatever you're stressing about of the unknown that you don't know about. I need you to relax and just trust that God's got you through every walk of the way, and that He's always going to be there, even when you feel like He's not there with you. He's always still going to be there. So yeah, just relax and take life as it goes. Don't overcomplicate the things in life, and don't look to others for your happiness as well. So don't seek others to make to don't seek to validate yourself through others. Would be
I
the
think
best thing.
That's
a
really good.
point going off of that, really, we care so much about what other people think about us, especially at a younger age. Like, golly, what, like, going into school, we're concerned about. All I was concerned about is, like, other people. What am I doing? What are they going to think about this? What are they going to think about what I'm doing? And really, like, the most important things, looking back now, were the things I was least concerned with then. Going to church on Sundays and growing in my faith, and being just genuinely nice to people, um, school, growing knowledge, learning how to learn and how to study and how to just grow your mind and learn different things. That's like the least of your worries as a middle schooler and high schooler. And looking back now, that's the most important things that you can do as a middle and high schooler, to me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you realize that the only thing that really matters is what you think about yourself, not what everybody else thinks about you.
I was
Absolutely.
about to add on and say, I think there's a lot of value in standing out personally. All through school and whatnot, I stuck out as quite a different person than a lot of people I was around, and I was okay with that. At first it was kind of hard. It was kind of weird because you'd show up to school, you'd be like, man, this dude's he's a total nut job over here. I'm a crackhead. But like there were different facets about me in my personal life where I was just different than most other people. And so I think in a sense, though it's hard growing up with that and having known that, use it to your advantage, use it as a strength to really kind of be like, what, I know who I am. Don't rely on it. You learn to not rely on what anyone else cares about you, because honestly, their opinions don't matter at all. It's just you. You don't need to worry about anybody else.
Yeah, dude. There is something beautiful in being unique.
Most
Like
certainly.
we are all. If you look around, like we are all created differently. We all look differently. So the talents, the gifts, the mind that God gave you, when you take a hold of that and you stop shadowing it and putting it away to please others, and like you said, will you embrace your uniqueness and who you are? You start to realize a lot of what you love in this world and what you can get out of this world. And a lot of people struggle with that, finding their passion or finding their purpose. And I feel like a lot of it stems from trying to please others and trying to find what they can do, but at the same time, please everybody else. And when you start to stray away from that and start to just go through what your heart really wants and how unique you are, I think the younger people this generation will start to really sprout and like blossom into great people that they can be versus the things that we had to go through
Right.
um, in our younger ages with all the insecurities that we probably had at young ages, high school, middle school,
Yeah.
things like that.
I'll say social media exponentially increases this stuff a lot too. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah, like before social media, because I mean, like whenever we were going through high school, I mean, I guess I finished high school before you guys, so I guess I started a little bit before y'all. But like, social media was just kind of becoming a thing, like the thing to kind of have. And while it was like, it was nice and all, like not all of the kids and other kids had like adopted it or been using it yet, at least where I was. And so we didn't really have too many issues from it. But the stories that I hear now from people that are in high school and those kinds of things, oh my goodness, you guys, it's so important to remember your worth. Don't let an app define who you are. Don't let, social media is fake. It is all fake. People only post the
Exactly.
best moments of their life on there or the worst moments for all of the attention. Like,
It's a highlight reel.
right. But it can also be a valuable tool, just like, Jack, JB, Jared, myself use to actually give out important information, right? Don't,
That's why you.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's why you see these young kids that are not fearful to put themselves out there as young content creators. 9 times out of 10, like they explode as a teenager, just because it's so easy to be great at that age because everyone else is worried about what people think about them. When you're not worried about that, it's you become great really quickly.
I think going back to what JB said, I just want to throw this out because when he brought up uniqueness, I think it's really funny. Looking back now, when I was that age, at least, I was looking for the next thing to fit in with everybody else, and you just wanted to be the same as the coolest kids around you, and the most popular kids in school. And then when you get older, like you kill for uniqueness. Like you're literally looking for anything that'll set you apart from like everybody else. And it's just weird how that shift change because like you don't want to be unique at all. You just want to be part of the pack when you're young, and then you realize
sir.
that those unique qualities about you and your interests and all that stuff, that's what sets you apart. And everybody else's view, like that's what makes you different.
It's a total flip. Total
Yeah.
flip.
You like people nowadays, they kill to be unique. I just think that's funny how it's so different now.
Even in relationships, man, people look for people who stick out. If you're just like everybody else, it's not the best thing, man.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
not.
great point, Jared.
I like
I,
what both you said. I like what you said a lot, Jared, and I like what you said too, Jack. JB, I'm vibing.
Well,
my guy.
that's a good point, bro.
JV's face. He said,
He said, oh, okay.
he said, I need something to hold on to.
I need something to hold on. That's an inside joke. Oh,
We'll
man,
keep it moving,
guys.
keep it
Yeah,
moving.
well, we keep on moving. We keep JB still beside himself down there.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother.
Oh man, dude.
I would say, well, that's a good point that you brought up. I don't want to get too deep into relationships because I know we said we talked about that a lot, but yeah, especially coming from high school and college, you see a lot of people that that are in the single or dating scene or whatever, and they feel like they're all the same. A lot of people are very similar, and you're looking for something different. So you being unique is might set you apart for something. It might set you apart for work opportunities or relationship opportunities because you're not the same as every other guy or girl that's around. You're not
Yep.
doing the same thing. You're not interested in the same stuff. Maybe you're not wearing the same thing. So being yourself and unique is extremely important.
Yeah, I mean, be proud to be that unique and different self, so that if that job opportunity doesn't become because of the unique personality of the person that you are, that it's okay that the new job or whatever the relationship that you're looking for is going to come based on who you are, and it's going to fit your mold based off your uniqueness and who you are. You're not just going to try to conform to whatever they want you to be. So I think there, like you said, like there's beauty in that, and there's beauty in having that uniqueness that can set you apart from everybody else.
Because if you're faking, you got to hold face once you get it.
Yeah.
If you're faking
that's-
for a job or relationship or whatever, once you get it, you either hold face or you lose it.
And
So
it
Yeah.
gets
either
exhausting.
suffering or
Yeah.
That can get exhausting.
You know what kind of caught my eye, and like I was thinking about this earlier too, but I also heard this in a sermon as well. It's like Gen Z is, we're all on Instagram and all these apps and stuff trying to make it and whatnot, But there's still like a little light of hope out there that people want authenticity from people, like being unique, being themselves, right? And one of the apps that's kind of been blowing up recently is Be Real. You guys know what Be Real is?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That app it's different than any other app because it's a snapshot of what you're doing right then and there. It's not really staged. Like, I mean, if you take it after the time that you're supposed to have, like your photo uploaded, whatever it may be. But anyway, Be Real is an app where it sends you notification at any point during the day. It's random every day. And it says, hey, take a photo and show everybody what you're doing right now. And like, there's not really a way where you can really stage anything, and having the authenticity and being the uniqueness and like, this is actually you and where you are and what you're doing with your life the reason why it blew up is because it's unique. People are unique. You're seeing a real side to someone rather than just a totally posed fake photo, whatever it may be, uploaded. And that in and of itself, just the uniqueness of being yourself. I don't know. That's just like interesting correlation that I just kind of saw.
Absolutely.
I was into that big, and then I realized that every day I was just doing work at the same time.
That's what I was doing too. I got off of it.
I'm
That's why
not
I never
unique. I'm not
downloaded it.
unique
It's
enough for this. I'm just working.
So it would just be me at the computer every day.
That's
I
literally
never
what mine
downloaded
was.
it, but I definitely saw the interest because there's no filters or anything you can put on any of it either. I don't know.
It's raw,
It
man.
is amazing.
It's
Yeah,
raw.
it's big time too. Because my buddies that are still in college here, that are a couple years younger than I am, they're all on that app. Like every
Mhm.
single one of them.
Yeah. It's wild over there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Showski.
man. Well, good talk today, boys.
Yeah, JB, you need some sleep, huh? No,
Yeah, this man,
I work-
JB's still
I work
pulling
night
all nighters.
shifts. I work night.
I ain't been working night
Yeah,
shift.
I'm gonna take
dog.
the
We can
night
start the small
shift.
talk. We can start the small talk. Tell me about night shift, man. And I don't want to hear. I just sit there at a desk all night.
I watch
I wanna hear
Netflix and I
about
play
your life,
Rocket League on
man.
my
How is
phone.
it staying up all night?
Dude, well, my body's used to it now. Like what did I do? I woke up at like, first of all, my time awareness of time or what day it is completely shifted. So on Friday, I was talking to Neil and I was like, "Yo, it is 12 in the morning. You need to go to sleep. You have work tomorrow." She didn't have work tomorrow. That's just my schedule. But I didn't even realize it was Friday. I had no clue it was Friday. And then like she was like, "Okay," she went to sleep, and I didn't even realize it till Ethan texted me at like 2 in the morning. And I was like, "Why is Ethan up at 2 in the morning?" I was like, "Oh, because everybody else isn't on the same schedule as me. I'm the only one working on a Saturday at 2:00 in the morning." So yeah, my how I perceive time is very different. But now like my body's like in a weird stage where I go to sleep at like 8 in the morning, and then I wake up at like 3, get ready to go to work, stay up all throughout the night, and then I get off at like 6 in the morning. And then just today I've stayed up from like 6 to like 11.
Oh, buddy.
And I probably could have stayed up longer. I probably could have stayed up the entire day, but I just wasn't tired. So I don't know what my
time do you
body's
wake
doing
up
right
this
now.
afternoon? What time do you wake up?
Like 7.
Okay, good.
Like
So
an
I'm just
hour
making sure
before
you
this.
got-
Good.
I'm just glad you got some sleep. I was making
Yeah.
sure.
Oh,
you
yeah,
were, like,
yeah, I got it.
Yeah, man. I know that overnight grind, bro. It hits different. Your body's just so confused when you're in the middle of it, especially if that's not your normal job hours. Because for me, I usually work 9 to 5, right? And then I totally feel you, JB. It just I got hit with it, and then before I know it,
Yeah.
you're staying up all night. And you're like, yo, this is different. And then everyone else is
What are the-
asleep while you're awake. Like,
you got what, 3 weeks until the new job now?
oh yeah.
I'm looking at the calendar. It's 3 weeks from
Do you
today.
even put in your 2 weeks yet, or are you just incriminating yourself on camera right now?
Definitely incriminating on camera right now.
He said that with a
I
lot
can't
of
believe you
intent.
brought that up, JB.
A lot of intent right there.
Yeah, why would you bring that up, dude?
Yeah.
Oh man, Jack,
I bet you $1 million Enter G is watching 40 minutes into Small Talk Sundays.
I haven't
They might
got
not.
that.
They might not. I have 2 coworkers or 3 that they'll follow me. Watch
JB,
my
Yeah,
videos
show
every
up.
day.
You gonna
JB,
show up to work and they'll be like, "You're quitting?" You're leaving.
You're
Whoa,
leaving.
whoa, whoa! It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke.
It was a joke. Puts in 2 weeks notice
I
right after that. Dude, JB,
Hey.
your mom is awesome, man. She was like, "Oh, is that William from Small Talk Sunday?" Whenever I FaceTimed you that one time, she's like, "I
Yep.
love the podcast."
Yep.
She's awesome. I love your parents, man. They're awesome.
They love the podcast.
Jared.
JB, whenever I was with Philip this weekend, he has like a buddy from Chicago that sends him reels like probably once a day, and he randomly, like, he has no idea who you are or anything. He sent a video of you to Philip, but it wasn't on your account. It was somebody who had ripped a video of you and your brother
Of
and
course.
posted it, and
Now
Philip responded,
that's
These
great.
fakers.
I know. And I was like, Philip
Stinkers.
responded, I was like, yo. Philip sent him your real account. I was like, this where the video is from. And he was like, dude, thank God it only had a couple thousand likes. It didn't like outdo yours, but it's crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't even like normally when that happens, somebody will like send it to me. They'll be like, "Hey, I used your video," and I'm like, "All right, that's dope. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for letting me know." I've got like no notification of that
This
at
man's
all.
just ripping them. He
They
said,
should
"Oh, this
tag
looks
you or
nice."
something.
Yeah, no, might get
Yeah.
tagged in it.
He's hitting his screen record button on his iPhone, saying, "Oh, this is a nice
Yeah.
video. I'll just reuse this one."
Just reuse
That's
this one.
why I just like started adding just like a little logo or something in there if you could, but it isn't what it is.
That's cool. They do.
It's
They
a
do
good
what they gotta
idea.
do.
Like a little watermark.
Yeah, put a
Yeah,
fat
like a little
watermark
watermark.
right on your
No,
face,
it's-
JB.
Imagine. No,
Right
just
on
something
your
subtle,
face.
just so people don't rip your stuff. It's annoying.
Something subtle, some bright yellow text in the bottom corner of the video.
This is my video.
This is
It's like a news flash comes
That's-
rolling across.
JB, and I endorse this message.
AB.fitness4.
like a scrolling thing at the top, like you have on Sports Center.
Yeah, exactly.
On this week's news.
Yeah.
Oh man, how are y'all's weeks going,
Hey.
Jared, Jack?
He's going well, bro.
Hey man, it's good.
That's good. You making it? You making it?
Yeah.
Jack, you
Yeah.
making it?
Yeah, man. I'm loving the new schedule. Took a little bit off my plate, feeling better, feeling
Good
more
stuff.
refreshed every day.
Yeah, man. You just
Good,
gotta readjust
good.
that sometimes. I can't wait to be in that state here in a little bit. Waiting to absorb all the glory and reorganizing, reprioritizing, and just getting back at it. So
Heard. Well, JB, we're not letting him off the hook. He's 9K away from 100.
9K.
coming,
Yeah, that's
9K away.
Y'all go
Wow.
check out JB.Brandon4.
We're closing in. Also, while I got you guys here on the announcement,
100,
I am
100.
now. I'm
Oh.
also a whole strength athlete now.
A
Let
whole
go.
strength
Yeah,
athlete.
man.
This man, a real right athlete over here.
Oh, is that the one you texted me the other day, Josh?
Is it?
No,
I
it's
don't.
okay.
I don't remember
You
when I
did.
sent you, but probably yeah.
I mean,
There
now that
goes
we're
the
going with
last-
announcements, I'm like 9K away from like 9 or 10K. So if you want to go follow me,
Oh, Jared.
Yo, you're 9K away.
I'm like
9K away from 9K.
9K.
Come on
now.
Okay.
Come on.
You making it? Oh, hey.
Uh,
And since we're already doing announcements there too, just want to give a quick shout out. Thank you for the 1,400 people that follow us on Instagram. You guys are awesome. We really appreciate the support. Makes us feel like we're doing something that's actually useful and helpful for people. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys rule. But
Please, y'all drop
uh,
questions for us. DM any four of us. Drop them in comments on Instagram, YouTube, anywhere. We would love to have more things to talk about, more options to choose from.
yes,
If your question's interesting enough, we'll probably air it here. So
you'll
Yeah, if
see
you
it up
do-
here live in 4K.
Yeah, if
1080p.
you do DM us, make sure you say that you want it for Small Talk Sunday, because sometimes we'll just answer questions back in our DMs, just like
Yeah.
answering them. So if you want us to talk about it on Small Talk, make sure that you mention it about the podcast so that we can wait and answer it here for you.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys.
Oh,
Before,
yeah,
as
guys.
always, like, comment, and subscribe. Press that bell for the notifications so you're always up to date on what we are posting. We love you guys. And as always,
Hit that button.
Small Talk.
Hit that button. Small Talk Sunday. We love you guys. Thank y'all for listening to this episode. We'll see you again next week. Take care. Stay blessed. Pray a bit. See y'all. gosh,
I hurt my
guys.
ankle doing that.
Did you hurt your ankle, JB?
My ankle doing that. I ain't.